where he was kicking in my door, and I had things against the door because I was so afraid. And he was coming in with knives. He was pouring bleach all over my face and my hair. He was spitting on me. He was dragging me by my hair.
This lady is about to tell us her story how CPS took her child and later on her child had passed away in CPS custody. Let's get straight to it.
So, um, I'm just looking for help. So, I'm going to put my story out there. Um, Basically, I'm 28 and I'm from Toledo, Ohio, and I was born and raised here. In 2018, I had my first baby boy, and when I had him, CPS showed up at the hospital and said that because I went through trauma as a child, that they wanted to make sure I was okay to raise my child. From that point forward, they removed the child from my custody, and then I got pregnant with my second baby, and I didn't know that my baby's father was going to be abusive or anything like that, but when he did put his hands on me, I got away from him and went to a DV shelter. I had the baby, and then when I had the baby, they called a meeting and said that they wouldn't let the baby be released to me because I was in a family shelter.
That's
And
sad.
when I went back to the family shelter, they told me that that was not true. After that happened, it took them a while to even let me get a visit with my child. And that child was neglected at many, 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 many visits. And I kept reporting it. I just kept reporting it. During the midst of this, I ended up getting my place. But because I was so trauma bonded with the person that I was with, he came and he helped me. He was the reason why I didn't have a job. And so when I got this place, he paid a deposit to help me move in. So naturally, I was just young. I felt like I needed him. And during the course of this time, the baby was super neglected. And I just kept trying to tell my caseworker, tell people that was around me, but nobody took it seriously. So one day I went to a visit and they told me that they asked me, did the baby look okay? And I asked them, well, why? And they said because he had a car accident, he'll go to the hospital after the
Damn.
visit. And I ended up, I was upset. But after that, for 3 weeks, I watched my baby swell up.
That's sad,
And
man.
March 19th, 2020, my child passed away in Children's Services custody. From that point forward, Children's Services offered me money. They wanted me to speak about how I grew up in the system and how the system helped me, and that they would give me a job. And I didn't want it. I didn't want what they gave to me, even if my child hadn't have passed away. Children's Services dropped the ball with me as a child. And had it not been for them, I wouldn't have went through so many of the things that I went through with my family. So when the baby passed away, the domestic violence got worse and worse. And I felt like I wanted to die. So I had a neighbor that just kept praying for me and was there for me. And I ran into a lawyer. And this lawyer asked about my whole life story and what happened with the child. A week later, they said they would work with me, and a couple months passed and it hit the news. A couple more months passed and it went federal. And I ended up pregnant again. I just kept trying to leave this guy, but I couldn't shake him because now at this point nobody understood what it felt like to lose a baby. So I got back with him. It wasn't my intent to have another child. This time when I got back with him, the abuse got worse, worse and worse and worse. It got so bad to the point to where he was kicking in my door and I had things against the door because I was so afraid. And he was coming in with knives. He was pouring bleach all over my face and my hair. He was spitting on me. He was dragging me by my hair. So at that time, because when I had the baby, the next baby, he was taken from me, of course, and I found my to leave him. I said I can't do it no more. You making me lose my kids. They gave me my first son back, but this guy couldn't stop putting his hands on me. So that child went with the family member. Now back to this baby. So I left him. I had to call the police to get him out of my life. And I did just that. I met, about a year later, I met my daughter's father. And when I met him, he really helped me a lot. You know, I had ended up getting evicted from the place that I was staying in because it was just so much domestic violence and just so many things happening. But it was time for me to move from that place anyway. So I began fighting. I always fought for my kids, but I began fighting for this baby. And I showed up to every visit. I took care of my kids. Even when I went to visitation, I took them shoes, clothes, toys. I took food to every visit. So while I was pregnant, I started working towards getting everything I needed for my daughter because I was so determined for her to come home. So I began to pray a lot. I began to write down prayers and so on and so forth. And in the midst of me doing that, I had got into a car accident. And when that happened, I took all the money and I went and just prepared for the baby. And I believe this time, because dad was involved and his family was involved, that I took baby girl home. When I took baby girl home, I ended up getting my second home, which is my second apartment now. And they released the other baby to me. All of this was going on while the lawsuit was happening. So I remember the retaliation, the things that they did, sending my files all over to the point to where I have a cousin that works in CPS in Toledo, and she said that she felt like the caseworker should have been fired for those things. They were going to her and saying this girl will never be able to take a baby home. I have never neglected my children. I have never harmed my children. I have always went above and beyond for them. And how I look now is how you would normally see me. But when you saw my kids, you would see them, dressed to a T. I feed them well. I spend all of my money on them. Anyways, so I had my kids in my apartment and I got a job. I was working. My babies were fine. I wasn't, particularly really dating. I was dating, but from me going through so much, I didn't want to bring a guy in my house, and especially because I've been through so much as a kid, I just really don't. I don't trust too many men around my kids and things like that. So, a couple nights ago, I asked my son's dad because my daughter has all this different support and these things surrounding her. So I asked my child's father, like, can you come and get him? Because, I can't be dad for him. I'm a girl. Like, I'm his mom. So he got to going off on me and saying that he was going to call the police on me. So he called the police and told them that I had my kids outside. And when the police came, my kids are not outside. They were in the house playing with their puppy. And because I've had history, which the only thing that they had solid to go off of was the domestic violence. I wasn't going through domestic violence when they first removed my child. So they took my kids and they placed them with family members for adoption. And I just want to know, if anybody knows any lawyers, if there's any help, because I'm desperate. And I'm not going to give up fighting for the baby that passed. And I'm not going to give up on any of my children, any one of them. So if anybody knows somebody that can help me, please, please message me.
Having your baby taken by CPS and passing away in their care is crazy. Then on top of that, they want to bribe you by offering you money and a job. Like that's going to help you. But she should have got away from that first dude a whole lot sooner than what she did. This lady said this man was spitting on her, pouring bleach on her. Like, if you don't want to be with her, bro, just move on. Why you got to do that to a lady? He a coward for that. Drop y'all thoughts and opinions in the comments. Don't forget to like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to hit 100K subs this year. And make sure you hit that notification bell so you'll be notified the next time that I post. I'm gone.